Hello, everyone. Welcome to what is the final Straight Talk on social media. Hopefully, you received an email earlier in the week letting you know that today is going to be the last of our Straight Talk on social media webinars, at least the last regularly scheduled social media webinar for us. I was looking back over my webinar files from the last few years, and this is something around like number 90 or 91 or so of the webinars that I've done. So it has been a long run, and I appreciate so much all of you who have joined me on these calls for the last several years. So as always, we're going to talk through some news today. We'll talk through a short focus topic, and then I will give some final thoughts as the webinar closes out. If you have any questions or comments, you can put those in the GoToWebinar control panel, and I will be able to see those. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So news, again, this week, it seems like all of my news is about Facebook. That's truly not intentional. I do like Facebook, but I don't intend to make all of my news about it. This is just what happens. They're the ones who are constantly changing and switching things around. For advertisers, they are starting to add relevance scores to ads. So you can see here sort of what a relevance score might look like. And the thought behind relevance scores is that you will have people by their actions with the ad will be determining your relevance score. So if people choose to hide the ad or say it's not relevant to them, that's going to make your score more negative. But if people click on the ad or engage with it in some way, then that's going to increase the relevance score of your ad. So hopefully this will be a good tool for marketers to use as they start to be able to see which kinds of ads are more helpful, or which kinds of targeting maybe are more relevant, if they're sort of hitting their target market correctly or not. So this will be a helpful thing to look for as you are running your Facebook ads. Facebook at Work has been announced in the last month, and I think will be coming soon. And the idea with Facebook at Work is that it's a new way for employees to connect with each other and collaborate online. So people from within the same company will be able to join sort of a private work network, and we'll be able to interact all through Facebook, but so with all the tools that we're all used to from Facebook, but it'll be more like a something that's intended to be a workspace. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I read a recent study saying that many people, if not something like 70 or 80% of all people freely admit to using Facebook at work anyway, not the official Facebook at work, but just use Facebook at work. And so, it'll be interesting to see if Facebook can sort of sell itself and take off as a tool for the workplace, as opposed to just sort of a break from work, which is how I think some people see it now. And the third bit of news here, two different kinds of tags Facebook is starting to add to their posts. They've already added a satire tag for articles from things like The Onion, which is a satirical online newspaper, and things like that. So now they are playing around and testing with this false information tag. So for things that are are not untrue stories or scams or whatever, people can mark those as looking like false information, and so this little disclaimer will appear above those articles to let people know, that scientists, in fact, did not actually, demonstrate the existence of Santa Claus. And the graphic content tag, of course, sort of speaks for itself, right? So before you click on a link that you think is innocent, before that happens, you would see this graphic content tag, and at least then you would be informed. It would be an informed clicker if in fact you went on to click. So interesting to see, Facebook making these moves. It's actually fascinating because I was thinking to myself, oh, this is a really good thing. I'm glad to see Facebook is doing this to sort of help people, sift through content. We've all known people who have, who have, uh, passed along some article that they thought was real, but actually was some sort of scam or whatever. And so I was thinking it would be helpful, to have something like this that people can use. And I told my wife about it, and she said, "Oh, so now Facebook is telling us what to believe or not to believe." And I thought, well, okay, there's the other side of the coin for you. So I don't know what you think about this news, but anyway, I thought it was helpful. So, so as I said, a quick focus on Snapchat campaigns, and then some closing thoughts on this webinar series. I did say last time when in the last webinar I was sort of talking about how Snapchat is one of those things that in 2015 we'll have to sort of keep our eye on more and more because it's becoming so popular. And so I wanted to spend just a little bit of time giving you an idea for how a few companies are using Snapchat to do campaigns and using the tools of Snapchat to do that. So this will be brief and with just a handful of takeaways. So first of all, this was during the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl that just happened, but actually the 2014 Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Broncos, which for me as a Seahawks fan was a much better Super Bowl than this most recent one. Anyway, the Audi did this campaign with The Onion, the satirical newspaper that I mentioned a minute ago, where they put out these fake stories, fake news stories via Snapchat that only showed up for a while. And what happened is that people started seeing them and realizing that Audi was doing this really funny thing on their Snapchat account, and it was basically like it was basically like all the news, fake news, of course, all the fake news that was going on that was not related to the game, or that was in some way sort of commenting in a funny way about the game. And what happened is that, in the midst of one of the nation's biggest events that, so many hundreds of thousands and millions, how many millions of people are tuning into the Super Bowl. In the midst of that, they caught a lot of attention, hundreds of thousands of views of these Snapchat videos, and a real boost for them as a brand. And so that all happened, during the Super Bowl and was a big success for them. The World Wildlife Fund did what I thought was a fascinating campaign where they actually sort of used the whole idea behind Snapchat, right, is that you have these videos that exist or pictures that exist for a while and then they disappear and they are no longer on the social network anymore. They're no longer there. And so World Wildlife Fund used this as a way to help people think about endangered species, right? So they did this "Don't Let This Be My Last Selfie" campaign, where basically they used this whole idea that there are these videos and pictures on Snapchat that are going to be going away in the same way that there are these species that are endangered who are in danger of going away. And so they did these videos with these animals saying, "Don't let this be my last selfie," and it turned out to be a powerful campaign because they were tying into what was unique about Snapchat. I thought it was a really clever idea. So Snapchat has a function called Snapchat Stories, and in Snapchat Stories, basically you can take, as I understand it, you can take a group of pictures or videos and sort of lump them all into a single story, sort of storyline. And so they did this to announce a Kevin Durant press conference that was going to be happening when he won the MVP award. And so they did this to publicize it. So again, it's a way of using Snapchat's technology, the stories option that it gives to people, and then did it in a way where all they were doing was really using these photos that they had, but still making a compelling storyline out of it. And number four, I think this is my last one of these campaigns. Grubhub, which is if you don't know Grubhub, it's a service that lets you order food online and have it delivered to you. And so it's, restaurants all over the place will register with Grubhub and put in their delivery parameters and costs and any of that sort of stuff, and then you can go and order it all on Grubhub. And anyway, I've used them a handful of times when I've been on the road. They did this Snapchat story again, like the NBA did, where they created this series of pictures. And again, to tell a story, what I thought was interesting here was that they were actually specifically reaching out to a Snapchat audience, right? You can see in the upper middle picture here, they were looking for an intern to help them focus on Snapchat, right? So where better to look for people who know how to use Snapchat and are familiar with it than on Snapchat itself. So they created this Snapchat story and then put it out on their page to help find an intern. So again, a good use of Snapchat. So hopefully this starts to spark some ideas. Here are just a few things I think it's good to notice about these different Snapchat campaigns. So Snapchat is, of course, about fresh, quick content. You're not getting across tons of information. It's short, it's peppy, it's quick, and it is not, it's not intended to be a place where you're going to do an involved how-to video about something or other. It's just where you're going to get across a quick message, entertain people, catch people's emotions, and give them, something to do in response. And so that's key to, how to use Snapchat as a company overall. Is just remembering, playing to its strength, which is that it is this network that is built on really quick little messages that will eventually go away. So number two, I think it's a good opportunity to surprise people. I think, many companies are going to surprise people by even having a presence on Snapchat because it is a network that is very popular among teens and people in their 20s and 30s, and that is, the vast majority of their demographic are people who are in that younger age range, and so not only surprise them just by having a presence there, it's sort of showing the hipness factor, but also surprise them by, you can do some fun and daring things when you're dealing with messages that disappear. Of course, you're not going to do anything that is, graphic or inappropriate or anything like that. However, you can, entertain people, give them a quick laugh. If you've ever watched a Snapchat video, you know that many of them they have to be sort of punchy and quick and sort of get to what they are about and why they're there pretty quickly because there's a limited amount of time that the video will show for. So anyway, good opportunity to surprise people and make them think a little bit differently about your brand. How does Snapchat unique feature, and here I'm talking about videos and photos, disappearing from the network. How does that in some way speak to your brand? World Wildlife Fund did it in such a powerful way, right, where they equated, videos and pictures going away with whole species going away. I feel like I'm almost cheapening their efforts to suggest, what if you do a campaign where you're talking about, this sale is going away as fast as this video, or something like that, right? I mean, I don't want to equate, what the World Wildlife Fund did with what some of the rest of us might do, but it is a good opportunity to think, Snapchat is all about what's temporary and what is sort of the moment. And so how can you play that? What does that have to do with your business? Number four, if you only are dealing with photos, if you don't have a video to work with, I think Snapchat's stories feature is a really good way to go because it allows you to piece together a video with sort of a set of what we might call storyboards, pictures that all go in a sequence and can tell a story. And so Snapchat Stories is a good way to do that. if you're only dealing with pictures. And of course, I mean, this would maybe be the number one reason to use Snapchat is that it's where you're going to find potentially a new audience for your product or service. It is where it's what younger people are using, and it is more attractive to them. It's something that they have embraced very quickly, and in huge numbers. And so, if you are looking to reach out to a younger audience, and you think you can pull it off in a way that's fun and unique, then Snapchat I think is a great place to try to do that, because there are plenty of people on Snapchat, and they, as I said before, they may be surprised and happily surprised to find you there as well. So that's what I have about Snapchat, and then just as I said, my final webinar, and so just want to close out with a handful of different thoughts, and I will probably end a little bit early today. First of all, again, just to say thank you so much for joining me for these webinars for all these years. Here are a handful of thoughts. I know that social media can sometimes be tiring. It can feel like it's hard to keep up. Social networks, change without notifying you, or maybe with notifying you, but certainly not giving you much choice in the change. And they can change on a moment's notice, and it can be tedious. It can be tiresome, day after day to think, oh gosh, what am I going to post today? And I know that can be tricky. So, try to find some inspiration online, something that speaks to you and gives you sort of some energy to do this work of maintaining a good social media site. Look for good social media stories online. There really are great stories of companies really finding really excellent ways to relate with customers through social media in a way that was really not possible, or certainly didn't happen in the same numbers before social media. And so look for those stories. Look for whatever it is that is going to inspire you, so that each day social media feels like an opportunity and not like a burden. I think when you start to feel burdened with your social media presence, that's when things, your followers and your likers will be able to tell that you're feeling that way, and your efforts will start to feel stale. And so I think it's important to try to find that that inspiration to keep going. If you have a colleague, whether it's in your company or in another company who is doing social media as well, encouraging each other, I think is a good way to keep going as well. I still think that Facebook is such an important social network to keep an eye on. Snapchat and Instagram, I'll talk about this in a minute. Networks like that are very important, but Facebook for me is still primal because of the number of people who are on Facebook. First of all, second of all, because it has been through so much change, and it's had so much focus put on it that I think is figuring things out in a way that it's forced to figure things out in a way that other social networks aren't necessarily. I think that the tools that Facebook has for marketers are really powerful, and really let you do a lot. And Facebook is thinking more and more about how to expand those possibilities for businesses. I mean, if you think about the innovations that Facebook has made in the last 2 years, I would say very few of them are focused on the individuals who use Facebook for fun, right, as their social network. I think that many more of the innovations they've made have been toward the companies that are on Facebook, giving them more and more tools to use. Now, of course, that's because they are now a publicly traded company and they need to make money, and that's obviously becoming very important to them. But I do think that it's, I think it's showing a commitment on their part to trying to make it work for companies. So, and it tends to, if you've been on these webinars in the past, regularly. You've heard me talk about Facebookification, where so many other networks tend to jump on board with things that Facebook does, and so therefore it is, it's a leader, it's a thought leader in social media. I don't think we're going to, I read an article the other day about things that may be gone by 2020, and it was everything from like, the postal service to, certain islands because of global warming to Facebook, which was one of their things. And I don't buy that prediction. I didn't buy many of the predictions in that article, but I don't buy the prediction that by 2020 Facebook will be gone. There are 1.5 billion people using Facebook, and I just don't see it going anywhere because of that reach. And now that said, there are many other social networks that deserve your time and attention. And this is almost in order for me, right? Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn. I could add Google Plus to this list. I could add many others, right? Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat are all very popular among young people. They all require different things, I think, and different skills for companies. This is why I've always said, find the people in your company who are really passionate about a particular social network, and let them be the ones to lead that effort. We're working with a client who I met with yesterday, who are really focusing on Facebook and Instagram, and it's because the people in their office, Facebook and Instagram are sort of the ones that they're passionate about. They're not as interested in Twitter, and so they're not doing it, and that's okay. As I've always said, Facebook I think is the only place where I'd say everybody has to be. The others I think are at this point still optional. So do what you can. Do what you can with these networks, and spend what time you can with them. Don't let them burn you out. And again, as I've said before, make sure that you are doing Facebook well before you move on to a second one, and then make sure you're doing that second one well and still doing Facebook well before you move on to a third. Don't do a half effort in 8 different social networks, or it's going to look like you're doing a half effort in all of them. If you're looking for ongoing resources for social media, I'm sure you are wringing your hands and you probably have cried this week because these webinars are ending. I know how you feel, and it's sad for all of us. But of course, I'm joking. If you need ongoing resources for keeping yourself educated about social media, the 2 best that I've found, the 2 that I like the most, Smart Brief on social media, which is at least the way I receive it. You can look at it online, but as I receive it, it's a daily email digest that comes to me that tells about everything about the latest social media news. So you'll see studies that are done about social media, any changes that the social networks are making in their systems. There'll be articles about those. And it's just you can scan it quickly and see what is interesting and what's not, but it's very helpful. Mashable, again, which I receive as a daily digest, although of course they have a site of their own, is another great place to get social media news and interesting tips. And they of course have a strong bent toward popular culture and that sort of thing, and so you receive a lot of that stuff too, which helps me, not only keep up with what's being talked about culturally, but therefore it helps me think about what I might post about, what's going on culturally that people are talking about. And so beyond that, experiment, play, be creative, have fun. I think if you're doing those 4 things with social media, your social media presence will shine and people will see that you're having a good time. You'll be engaging, customers will enjoy interacting with you. And you'll really be doing what social media is supposed to do, which is making relationships with your customers. And my final one here, call me if you need me. I'm not going anywhere. I haven't disappeared off the face of the planet. These monthly webinars are coming to an end, but that doesn't mean that I am gone. So I'm still available and around if you need help with social media, or if you have thoughts or questions that you want to talk about. So thank you. I appreciate again so much all of you sticking with me for these years, these 90 webinars.